Now, Diana the play was casted and staged in Trinidad 2018. It was directed by Penelope Spencer. Now, Becoming Diana, the short film, was shot and recasted in some roles in Tobago 2019, directed by Alethea Sophia Guillaume. And we get to speak with Miss Lylah Persad, producer, creative and artistic director, before its TTT premiere. So we say thank you for joining us, and how are you feeling about seeing your baby on TV?
Well, I am always excited to see my babies, but it's actually not the premiere. It showed earlier this month for Mental Health Awareness Month. That was in March, sorry. So it did show earlier on, but I'm really excited to see it again because a lot of people missed it. So yeah.
Now, I heard that someone said that this would make a good film, and you said okay, but I want to take it a stage first. Take me through that?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's something that I wrote years ago, like in 2013, maybe. I was in a bad mood. I was angry. I had a lot going on in my head. So I started to write ideas until it's finally developed into something. And I sent it to a friend of mine, Sophie, in Tobago. And she looked at it and she's like, Lylah, this is a film script. And she saw dimensions of the play that I only imagined on stage. Now, I'm a theater actress, so I know about the stage. I didn't know much about behind the scenes in film. So yeah, that's me there. And I said, well, let me take it to the stage first, because one of the things that I like is to know that my work is appreciated. And one of the ways to do that is to see it, to see the audience reacted, as opposed to all these things in my head, what I imagine it would be. So that's how the stage came about first. I needed to see the audience's reaction in real life. And then, this came about. This Becoming Diana is a follow-up of the stage play. It is not the stage play. There are flashbacks in it from the stage play, but it's not the stage play. It's what happens after Diana has done the deed and now she has to face the consequences of her actions. And that's what this is about.
And I'll ask you to take me through the premise of it, because you're saying it's almost as though, I don't want to call them installments, but there's a natural progression. So in terms of saying, yes, you got some of that vibration, or you got some of that energy from the stage, and then we'll say, we're going to tweak it a little bit for film. What was that process in tweaking it like?
What happened was, I really wanted to do something with Diana. I really believe in the product in terms of answering questions like what goes on inside the head of someone who is desperate enough to commit a crime. In this case, murder. What is the process? Because all of these crimes happening in the world, and the first thing is like hang them, kill them, shoot them, they're menaces, they're pests. And it may bear some truth in it, but does anybody not wonder what drives a person to that point of committing a crime like that? So Film Festival sent out a notification that the Film Fest was coming up. So I was like, I can't film Diana as a whole. It's 14 characters, it's huge production. I didn't have the time to put it together, but I wanted to still bring across the mental health issues. So I decided to do the follow-up of Diana first, and it was shorter. We knew it was going to be like about 50 minutes. It was going to be shorter, and that was doable. I was in Tobago at the time, and I just sat there with a pen, a napkin, and some pieces of paper, and I just started to scribble stuff down. And I said, Sophie, I have something for you to do. And you want to do Diana? Let's do Becoming Diana. And that's just the follow-up to it. At least this will introduce persons to what we're trying to do, so that when we're ready to get funding and support, they will understand why we're doing it.
Now, I want to come back to that topic of funding just now, but a great deal of dialogue around mental health in terms of stigma, trying to normalize seeking treatment is happening at this point in time, and rightfully so, timely conversation. How do you want Becoming Diana and Diana to add to that conversation?
I just want to open I want to just create the platform to open the dialogues. I don't have answers, but I have 102 million questions about what goes on inside the head of a person, because I don't think anybody can commit a crime if they're in their right mind. It is something that led them to that point. Can we not identify what that point is and then open the discussion and help them to talk about it? Let's have forums where people who are suffering with these issues, who feel like they cannot communicate effectively, let's get these safe spaces for them to talk about it. And that's all it is, Once we communicate, we find answers, and we realize that we have the answers. We're just stifled by the lack of being able or trusting that we can communicate effectively without being judged. And that's all this is to just open the dialogue and have a platform in a non-judgmental way.
And one of the things I appreciate about this moment and this instance is that you take us on a journey with Diana to say, okay, well, this is not just catch a vapson and not get him away, so I'm going to do this. As opposed to saying that there's a lot of baggage that Diana is carrying with her, so that piece we just showed where you saw a foot and you saw blood dripping is because there was some self-harming going on. And it's not now, but this is things that had built up cumulatively over time.
Correct. And it was not dealt with because there was nobody to talk to. Her dad was a perfectionist. That's what I sent you to school for, to get all A's. Why are you coming to show me you got A's? That is what I'm paying to send you to school for. That is not an accomplishment. That's nothing special. So there was a point in her life where she felt like there was nothing special about her. So she fought and she fought. In the play, she was always cast as the understudy. It was as if nobody saw her as good enough. And she figured the only thing I could do to get that lead role is let me get rid of the lead. I'm the understudy for the lead, only to realize that she was never going to get the part in the first place because they never saw her as good enough, but she was dependable, she would show up. And this is technically very personal for me because when I wrote it, like I said, I was in a bad mood. I was upset, I was angry. I felt I was in a place where I was doing so much. I'm not getting recognized for it. The people who I trust to at least help me along the way were just pushing me down and down and down and down until I had to, the only way I could have killed a man, but I wouldn't. I couldn't harm a fly. But the way I deal with things, just like someone may go to alcohol, they may go to smoking, they may go to a psychiatrist, I take to writing. So the moment I started to write and the pen flew off the page, like it just flew across the page, the pen, and I just started to, everything just came out. And I just left it there. And some of it was dealt with. Some of it was dealt with. And this was in 2013. 2014 came and I did one reading of it. And I heard it back to myself. And I was like, wow. It's funny, but I understand for the first time what I sound like through all of these characters. And I thank God I didn't verbalize it.
I'm glad you're able to articulate those feelings and those energies via writing. But speaking of writing though, your career has taken you beyond our shores and back. Now, is there anything that you want to see a little more of in local scripts? And is this why part of the reason you have a character like Diana?
You can hear me?
All right, so what we will do, we will take a break. We'll come back with more. We are speaking with Lylah Persad on Becoming Diana. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are happy to be speaking with Lylah Persad on and around the topic of a short film, Becoming Diana. And Lylah, just before we took the break, I was asking about your writing because you have been further than our shores, you've come back. Is there something that you'd like to see a little more of in the writing that is done or is produced locally? And is that part of the reason that we see a character like Diana coming forth?
What I would like to see in terms of writing is I would like to see more local writers being awarded the opportunity. Well, we all have the opportunity, but being pushed to produce their work, especially if they're trying to be playwrights. For me personally, I see a lot of farce. Growing up in the States, so there's a lot of farce. Sure, we have local writers, and there are people who do their thing, maybe in radical spirits. But on stage in theater specifically, it's been a lot of the same type of work that is not really locally written, you know? So I would like to hear what our youth, what our students have to say now based on what's happening in the country, how they feel. And we need to have more, we need to support them just a little more. We support them in terms of hiring them, sure. But what about what they have to say? Are we sitting and listening to what they have to say, what they've written outside of spoken word? Spoken word has been amazing in terms of getting the work out because they have sponsors and they have people behind it. What about the playwrights? Are we supporting them as well? Is there a forum for that? Can I, Lylah Persad, create a forum for you? Will you come to me and allow me to help you as a producer to produce your work? All these are discussions that we need to have. So that's where I think it needs to go. I think we just need to recognize who the playwriters are and let us sit and do play readings.
And there are two words that you said there. One, you said support, and there can be support, and there can be support. You also spoke about sponsors. Do you think it's a matter of the people following the piper and the piper calling the tune? And I also say that in the context of the pandemic, there's so much that is happening remotely. Where do writers figure into that equation? How do we script dialogue so that you can get an energy so that people say, okay, I want to use this person, I want to go to this play, I want to do this virtually. How does that figure in? And Lylah, wondering if you're still there with us. Okay, but we are speaking with Lylah Persad. Becoming Diana is up, and it is going to be shown on TTT over the weekend. And when Diana comes in, I'm sure she'll be giving us a little idea of how writers can actually figure into work that is happening now during the pandemic. And as soon as she's ready, she'll let us know. So we will see what is going on. And reminding you, the pandemic has raised up so many discussions and so many conversations about what is essential work, who are essential workers, how do we now interact with each other. And one of the questions that I actually also want to ask Lylah is the significance of actually having a life coach who we're seeing on the screen right now play the psychiatrist that Diana was going to. So I guess we'll find out all of that at this point in time. So film in, please, Diane. Film in, please, Lylah.
Hi. Okay, so I missed a little bit of what you were saying, unfortunately.
Not a problem. We'll get to the short question first and then the longer one. What was the significance of having this life coach play the psychiatrist or Diana's psychiatrist?
This worked really well for me as a writer because I had sent, well, first of all, when I was going to cast Penelope Spencer in that role because she was part of the original Diana team as the director, but Penelope had stuff to do and all that. But before that, Sophie told me, I know Dr. Crystal Benjamin. She's a psychologist. This is what she does for a living. So I was like, you think she would should want to do this? Ask her. So I asked her and she was on board. And I sent the script to her. And what I loved is that when she looked at the script, she was like, I like how you phrased this and I like how this went. And everything was so positive. And then she's like, I would not say it that way. And I said, so how would you say it? And then she told me, and I was able to put this script in the terms of a psychologist asking a question to a mental health patient. So that even though you do your research, you still don't know it that you don't know. And she came and she tweaked it here and there, and it worked. It worked. So I was very thankful for that. And it's funny that sometimes it's just two words that make a whole difference. And
Definitely.
I love that.
And especially with the part of the target audience that you'd have, I'm grateful that you were able to make that connection so you could resonate a little more fully with them. And in speaking about writing, where do you see writers, playwrights, the artists fitting in or starring as essential workers during this pandemic? Because you just spoke about having platforms and being able to be included and let your voice be heard. And that is something that Diana was also talking about. I finally had my time to shine, to be seen.
Yeah.
Where do writers figure into this?
I think to answer that question honestly, that is that is on the shoulders of the writer. That is where you have to come in and decide what is important for you. What message are you trying to bring across? Whatever it is, what is important to you and how much does this mean to me? It's difficult for me to speak on behalf of other writers because my purpose may be different. My purpose has always been to use my voice to make a positive difference. If I had any other talent, I probably have no talent whatsoever. But somehow my voice tends to reach people. And my voice may not necessarily be this, it could be my words and the message that I have and the way that I would say it, to bring to the public. So everybody, I think people need to know what their purpose is. First, writing or no writing, you need to know what your purpose is and how important it is to you and why you want to do this. Why you want to, is it for fame? Is it for money? Whatever it is, it can't be right or wrong, whatever it is. If that's what your purpose is, then go for it 100%. But to tell a writer, but I wouldn't know what's important to a writer. They have to decide what is important to you and share that with the rest of the world.
So asking you to speak for yourself as opposed to...
Yeah, nothing I say, nothing I write could make any sense. It don't even have to be good because it was difficult writing a play within a play, which is set as a British comedy, which we're not used to be accepted on a stage in Trinidad and Tobago, but I did not care. At the end of the day, this is what I wanted to do. And luckily, the cast supported the idea and they showed up. So because it was important to me, and I guess my importance excited them. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, we all have a different purpose.
And that brings me to the question of what goes into choosing a cast, because it seems as though some luck is there sometimes in terms of getting the psychologist, the life coach. But what says, okay, this role, I think this person is going to set it off nicely. How do you go through that process?
Well, some of the roles were written based on persons I knew. Even though Cecilia Salazar played Diana, which is the lead role, I hadn't thought of her as the lead role. I wrote another character, Amanda Stiles, for her because that's how I saw her. Saran Clark, who's also an award-winning actress, I wrote Diana for her. And a couple other roles in there. But Penelope did the casting, and when she chose Cecilia to read it, I was like, oh, that's really good. That's really good. But I stayed away from the casting, but in terms of people's characteristics in general in life, I may probably write a role to suit that character and then ask them if they happen to be an actor to play the part. Yeah.
So in terms of the last 30 seconds, what are some of the projects or partnerships that you're looking forward to during this period?
Well, we do have so far, I want the Ministry of Health to come on board with us so that we can not only, one, shoot this project to showcase all over the world as mental health awareness campaigns. I want to be able to go to schools. I want to be able to do brochures. I want to be able to sit and have discussions with people, young people especially, who have issues that they can't deal with, that they feel they have to lash out. They feel that they have to damage somebody or they have to do all of these things. I want to be able to have to have a supportive team of mental health officials who could come together and let us go around the world and let's educate people. Let's use drama as a way, as a form of artistic expression to express yourselves. Yeah, let's use film so that we can put these stories out there because people are watching the internet, Netflix, television all the time. Let us use this so people can identify with themselves being portrayed. And say, guess what? I'm not the only one with this problem.
Definitely, and we want to thank you so much for sharing that insight and putting some energy towards the cause, a very significant one and one that is needed. Lylah Persad, thank you so much for your time. We also want to thank everyone tuning in on behalf of the entire news team. I'm DK Rosta. Have a good night.